what they're called. They're like these little plugs. We have them all over the house.
Oh yeah.
Because they were on sale once, and they're Wi-Fi plugs, and you plug whatever it is that you want into them, and then you're all set.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Like, we have our fans in our bedroom plugged into those things. So usually what we'll do is when we say, hey, keyword TV time,
Mm.
because usually my wife and I will watch Cheers or something before we go to bed, and the lights will dim, the fans will turn on, and then we'll watch a show.
That's cool. Yeah, the little question mark thing, it was a present for my daughter, and she picked it up at it's not a thrift store, but it's like it's a store, it's called Winners. So they have like all this brand name clothing and supplies, but it's all like end of line stuff, so it's way cheaper than it normally would be. So she found this there, and she's like, this would be perfect for dad, but the box is a little bit like damaged or whatever. So I was like, I don't care about the box, it's awesome, blah 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 blah. The plug thing doesn't work, but the batteries work. So it must have been returned, broken, returned, and the only way that it works is batteries. So I'll keep forgetting that thing on, and then I'll come back in like the next day, and it's like super dim because it's been running for 24 hours. It's not meant to run for multiple days on a set of batteries. So I need to like dismantle it and put other lights inside of it that I can control through like Wi-Fi or whatever, so that I can use my Google stuff as well.
Yeah, I've got that same issue with, right there is a Sonic the Hedgehog thing that's supposed to light up, and it looks really cool when it's lit up, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't be bothered to change the batteries in it, and I have to I have to remember to turn it off, and I never remember to turn it off, so it's
Yeah,
just
I'm
got
the
dead
same way.
batteries in it.
I have a Mario 3 Mario and
The
a
Link.
super powered Link, and I did the same thing. I put batteries in it. They look great when they're turned on, and then I forgot them once, and I came back and they were off. So I go to turn them on. I'm like, oh crap, they were already on. I just wasted a full set of batteries. They don't last very long.
Stadia Rocket Raccoon has a good idea. Have that light up. Have the thing light up when someone does a super chat.
That would actually be really good.
Yeah, I could do the same thing with the Pac-Man that people can't see right now.
And then I could do that.
Like when it would work when it's just me, and you could see the Pac-Man light up when somebody does a super chat, but when it's me and Lloyd, that wouldn't work. But I love that idea. That's pretty brilliant.
Mhm.
But I also want it to be lit up all the time because it looks really nice. You know?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about video games and perhaps even record it? I don't know. Like a crazy idea.
That's I don't know, man. That's weird. I don't know if I agree with that, but you know what? I'm game for anything. Let's try it.
We could try it once.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hit a button. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Stadia Cast. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
Not much, man. We've been reminded by the chat room that we didn't talk about Stadia Cats before starting the podcast, so we failed our adoring public, Bill.
That's true. Well, let's just make sure that we're clear. They don't adore us. They adore our cats.
That's right. That's right.
You know, I had this thought, and this is not related to video games at all, but I don't care. I had this thought yesterday, and I ended up tweeting it out, but cats of today have a much better lifestyle than cats before Amazon, because there's just so many boxes in houses these days.
Yep.
It used to be like when I was younger, that you would almost never have cardboard boxes in the house, and now like there were, okay, we've got a set of boxes that we have to wait until garbage day to get rid of. So now cats they have infinite places to fit and sit.
They do. It is kind of ridiculous. And we ordered a bunch of catty things from the internet, and they came in a box. And the cats didn't like the catty things, but they love the box. It's like,
Well,
of
boxes are
course, I knew
cat
that would
things.
happen. That is the joke on the internet, that the cats don't play with the toys; they play with the box. So I should have known. Amazon needs to sell a bulk pack of Amazon boxes that also ship in Amazon boxes, and then the cats across the world will be happy.
Yeah. Listen, Amazon, don't do that. It's bad for the environment. All right, let's get to the show. But before we actually do, just to remind everybody who's listening to the MP3 version of the show, that we do record this show live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/StadiaCast. And if you are here with us live and you're like, I have things to do, I have to go shopping, I have to buy this, I have to go do that, I have to mow the lawn, I have to wash the dishes. Well, guess what? You can listen to the show while you do all of those things if you go to anchor.fm/StadiaCast, and you can listen to the show each and every Sunday. And that's just it's an awesome thing. I like podcasts. So if you want to directly support the show and you happen to be here with us live, you can use the super chat feature down below in the second half of the show, which we call crowd play. We answer each and every super chat that comes in. So if you have a question, and there's usually a couple hundred people here, chat goes by pretty fast. We can't see it all. Make sure that we see your message by using the super chat feature. If you are not here with us live, or if you are, there's also the join button right down below the YouTube video, which lets you get access to videos early, our supporter only channel on Discord, and of course the awesome emotes that were made for us. All right, Lloyd, we start
Yes,
every
sir.
episode off with what we've been playing. What have you been playing?
Well, besides copious amounts of Elder Scrolls Online on Stadia, I've also been playing the new game that just dropped, Rock of Ages 3. I put up a first look, and this was a first look where the game crashed twice during the first look, and
Did the
I had
game
someone
crash or
say
did Stadia crash?
the game crashed. At first, I thought
Okay.
it was Stadia crashing, and I was like, "Ooh, that's not good." But no, the game itself crashed, and I had someone send me a message saying, "Well, why would you include that in the video?" And as Bill and I have always said, we're honest. We don't lie. We don't half-ass. We don't blow smoke up anybody at all. So if something happens while we're playing a game, we're gonna talk about it. So as I was playing Rock of Ages, I got partway through the tutorial. Was just going into the second level, and it was doing kind of the overview, and then it zoomed in real close, and then the game paused, and then next thing you know, my controller disappears, and then 30 seconds later, I'm at the Google Stadia interface on Chromecast, and I'm like, that's really weird. And then so I went back in, got playing the game again, and then right as I was finishing up my first look, it crashed again with the something bad has happened. So Rock of Ages 3 is maybe not ready for prime time. There are definitely some issues, or at least issues that I ran into.
Kevin W in chat says that he also was experiencing the same problems with the game crashing. Look, this is not a thing that is exclusive to Stadia. Games crash
No.
on consoles and PC all the
Yep.
time. But it just seems like maybe Rock of Ages needed to cook a little bit longer.
Yep.
I don't know if they had the same issues for this particular game on other platforms, but other platforms aren't using Vulkan, so maybe maybe they haven't been
Could
able
be.
to figure that stuff out. Jem in chat is saying it's really buggy. I never crash, but I've seen a lot of game bugs. Have you experienced a lot of game bugginess as well?
Good question. They don't tell you enough about the game to know if the game is buggy or not. My big complaint about this game is you're thrown right into a tower defense thing, and it gives you icons at the top left of the screens where you can buy different things to put in the world, but it doesn't tell you what they do or why you would use them. The icons don't even have tooltips. So maybe that's a bug. I don't know. Yeah, the game, I didn't enjoy my time with it, which is unfortunate. I've been wanting to play this one since it was launched or since it was announced. I was this close to picking it up on Nintendo Switch to play through, and then I found out it was going to be a Stadia Pro title, so I held off, and I'm actually really glad that I did that.
Right. So you said that you were running into issues with Rock of Ages 3, and that reminded you of some issues that you had had in the past. Lloyd wanted
Yes.
to absolutely make sure that he talked about this, but I think my goldfish memory is contagious because he's forgetting things in his old age. For those of you who don't know, Lloyd is older than I am. I know you couldn't
Yeah.
tell by looking at us, but Lloyd is older. So, Lloyd,
Yeah.
what is the thing that you probably forgot to talk about?
So what I did a couple weeks ago, I was having some Wi-Fi issues. So I had issues regularly where my Stadia controller mid game would just disconnect. So I'd be playing, and then I would spin in circles, or I'd run towards a wall, and then I get the your controller is disconnected. Please connect to Stadia controller. And I was trying to diagnose what the problem was. I was wondering if it was because I'm in Canada and the data centers were in the US. I would leave network monitoring tools up on my computer while I was playing, and I found that the last time that my controller disconnected, my network was fine. I had no bandwidth issues. I was able to keep pinging without any more milliseconds added on to my standard pings that I was doing. So I'm like, okay, this isn't a network issue, like a bandwidth coming to my house or away from my house issue. So what's happening here? Did a little bit of researching, and I have internet through Shaw, which is a big company here in Canada, and they have these like really fast gigabit internet switches. So the box itself should be fine, but I ran into a couple other people that were having random dropouts of Wi-Fi, where they would be browsing full bars and they would have no Wi-Fi. Their phone wouldn't say that they didn't have a network connection. No one would say they didn't have a network connection, and then it would fix itself. And I'm like, you know what? That's probably what is happening to me. So did some more research on what to order. I ended up ordering a Google Nest Wi-Fi kit that includes the base station and a separate pod. Set it up, and Stadia has never performed better. Little things like when I would turn on my Wi-Fi controller, my Stadia controller, it would take about 30 to 40 seconds to connect to my Chromecast. And I thought, yeah, that's just a standard boot up time, because I had never known any different. Well, it shouldn't be like that. It should be it should be 5 to 10 seconds, because that's what it is now. I turn on my controller, it starts up Stadia on my Chromecast right away. I'm absolutely loving these new Wi-Fi base stations, access points. The fact that the little pod acts as a Google Home as well, and my kids can talk to it. I got rid of all my Alexa devices because I didn't like them in the first place. It's been great. So as much as I didn't want to spend $300 to fix my networking issue when I have a really good router apparently right from my service, which is the first time I've ever used a router from my internet service. I've always had my own, but my what was it? The Apple Extreme, Airport Extreme, had just died prior to switching my network connection. So it was just like, okay, I'll go with this one. Why not? It should be fine. It wasn't fine. So if you're ever having any issues with your Wi-Fi dropping, weird brownouts, even though you have full Wi-Fi bars, you're not getting the data, just replace that garbage. Get a Google Nest Wi-Fi bundle. I've had zero issues with it. It's like one of the best networking devices I've ever used. And the fact that you can set up groups on your phone, you can see who's downloading stuff at any point. You can see what's going on in your network. Like I was looking at my phone, and it's like, why is my downstairs computer using 2 megabits? It's off. This is weird. I don't understand. So I went downstairs and I had Plex running on my computer. I guess I paused it, and for some reason it unpaused, and it was actually streaming video. And I was like, oops, all right, well, now I know that. So I went downstairs, turned that off. It's just been really great. And as I said, it's made Stadia that much better in my house. So I'm really happy about that.
See, I'm lucky myself that I already had Google Wi-Fi when Stadia came out, so I never experienced anything other than that. But I am also going to extol the virtues of Google Wi. I don't have the Nest Wi-Fi. I have the Google Wi-Fi, the older one.
Right.
And I've been extremely happy with that. We have a like kind of a long house, and the cable comes in, you know, on one side basically, and
Yep.
my wife's sewing room is all the way on the other side of the house. And so we were always trying all of these different solutions. Like, I bought repeaters that would make a second network that would be like the extension network for those things out there.
Right.
And like, when we shared that room, for like, it was my streaming room and her sewing room, I ended up running an Ethernet cable through the basement out there so that I could still, so that I would be able to stream. But
Right.
Wi-Fi in that room has always been a huge problem.
Hmm.
And my buddy at work said, try out Google Wi-Fi. I love it, and it was awesome. Just from day one, it works, and I love the control. Um,
Hmm.
like, we're able to set it up so, obviously we're summer vacation right now, but you know x number of minutes before we have to leave for school, all of the internet for the kids shuts off so that they can't get distracted and be like, oh my gosh, and then have to run for the bus or anything like that.
Right.
It's really awesome. We can shut it off at night. It has parental controls. I'm a huge fan of it, and it
Mm.
has like a button in the interface that prioritizes Stadia traffic, which is really awesome. So I'm a huge
Nice.
fan of it, and you know, you don't have to have it in order to have a good experience with Stadia, but it does improve the Stadia experience. At least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you've never had issues because you've always had Google Wi-Fi. I've always had issues, but didn't realize they were issues because that's just how Stadia has always been. And I've noticed that if I was playing on my laptop in my bedroom, I'd have full bars. But every once in a while, like if I'm playing ESO, the screen would go pixelated like regularly, like every 5-10 minutes or whatever. That would happen, but it would happen for a few seconds and it would be back. And I just thought nothing of it. I thought, okay, that's just the way the service works on Wi-Fi. Well, it doesn't do it now, and it's all because of having better Wi-Fi in the house. Having the two access points has just made the difference. Even though I have full bars, I didn't have full bars, and I wasn't able to determine that until I had another Wi-Fi service in my house. So it's funny. Like I do a lot of networking for my job as well, so I know what to look for. And I had never noticed any issues in my house. And then I got better Wi-Fi, and it's like, oh, look at all these issues I had. It's maybe because I don't want to do tech support when I get home is probably the root cause of all this.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, have you played anything other than Rock of Ages and ESO?
That's all I played.
Yeah.
So I played a little bit of Rock of Ages and a little bit of ESO. I got a big project at work, so I've been doing a lot more work than even when I'm supposed to be home and doing fun things. I've been doing a lot of extra time at my job. So no other games were played, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't play anything other than ESO this week either. I was really focused on, I was working on prep work for another podcast that I do, 143 Pixels, and I just didn't have time to really sit down and jump into any game except for ESO. And that was mostly because we had a trial, which is like their rating content. And it's funny, I had even forgotten that we had the trial, which we did yesterday, and I accidentally jumped into the Discord, and they were like, I was like, oh, what are you guys up to? They're like, oh, we're just getting ready for the trial. And I was like, oh yeah, I totally didn't forget about that. But let's move on to the news. Um, Obviously, the giant news this week, Lloyd and I already kind of covered, but there's been a development that has, to go on top of that. But earlier this week, Fortnite decided to try and get around Apple's payment system. And in order to do that, what they did is they said, hey, everybody, here's 20, if you use Apple, then it's going to cost you 20% more. If you use ours, it's going to cost you 20% less. And Apple was like, I don't think so. Kicked them off the Play Store. And then Epic Games had this propaganda ad ready. They had the lawsuit ready to go, and they said, we're going to sue. And right before Lloyd and I talked, Google also kicked Fortnite off of the Play Store. And since then, Epic Games has decided to sue Google as well.
Yep.
So it seems like Epic Games is, they're suing everybody. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this was because right after Lloyd and I finished recording our discussion, um, I was uploading it and making a thumbnail or whatever, and I sent him a message. I was like, I can't believe this. We didn't we didn't talk about what this means for will Fortnite, like, the does this impact the likelihood of Fortnite coming to Stadia? So before we get to that actual question, I just want to let everybody know the reason that Fortnite, Epic Games, sorry, the reason why Epic Games is suing Google. And here's what they said. This is actually surprising. Epic claims that Google forced phone manufacturer OnePlus to break off a deal that would have seen a special Fortnite launcher pre-installed on OnePlus phones. And they demanded that another Android phone maker, LG, abandon any plans to do the same. Now, I'm going to say real quick, I am never a fan of pre-installed software from third parties, ever.
Mhm.
I don't like it at all. It's one of the reasons why I'm less interested. It's one of the reasons why the only Android phone that I would consider would be the Pixel phones, in my opinion. But, that's not what we're here to talk about. I just think it's very interesting that, like, Google is very, very being more controlling than I thought that they were. That surprised me. Any thoughts before we get to about Fortnite on Stadia?
No. Just my camera just went super blurry, and I'm trying to figure out why it
Try
is.
holding your hand up to it and
Yeah, auto is turned off, I think, is
oh,
the problem. Anyway, I'll try to fix it. So yeah, for me, I, Fortnite obviously doesn't directly compare to Stadia. So not having Stadia or xCloud on the app stores, it's not a direct comparison. But the whole point of this lawsuit is control. So Google is saying that you have a monopoly here, or sorry, not Google. Epic is saying that you have a monopoly here, both on Apple and Google. Less so on Google, because you can sideload apps if you want, and um, you can have whole other stores installed on your phone. But there's still an anti-competitive part here, and it's the same thing about getting the streaming apps. Apple is saying, well, you can't have these streaming apps on our phone because we can't do search of the games. You can't do this, you can't do that. When in reality, streaming video is the same whether it's gameplay or not. So my hope is that when this lawsuit goes through, if it gets if it gets I don't know, if it goes I see what you're doing here. If it either gets settled, or if it goes through to actual court, my hope is that these anti-competitive things are going to go away in more than one area, so that hopefully other things like Stadia and xCloud will just disappear, because Apple's like, oh crap, we can't do that anymore. We've already had our hands bitten once because of this. Let's just forget it and continue on. So that is my hope, that this whole lawsuit goes through, because of things like that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's amazing. Like a week ago, how many millions of people were playing Fortnite on their phones? A week from now, will there be anybody playing Fortnite on phones? Because Fortnite updates regularly, and if you can't push those updates to the devices, is anybody be playing on these devices? It's going to be pretty interesting to find out.
Well, just to be fair, on Android, people can sideload the app,
Yep.
so there is a way around it. They're just not going to be able to do it from the particular store that I think most people would prefer to, like, do everything through the same way.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are going to assume that this means that the chances of Epic Games bringing Fortnite to Google Stadia are, like, dashed. I think that there's a lot of people that think that that can't possibly happen now.
Right.
And I would just remind those people that when you're talking about giant companies like this,
Mhm.
it it they I don't think that that's necessarily true. So, for instance, You know who makes a lot of the stuff that's in this particular device that I'm holding up, my iPhone, is Samsung.
Mhm.
Samsung makes a ton of the parts that are in here, and Apple buys those parts. Sony recently reached a deal. Recently, it's been like a year and a half now. Recently, we reached a deal. Well, actually, less than a year. But they recently reached a deal with Microsoft to use Microsoft's Azure, excuse me, Azure services in order to do some of Sony's cloud stuff.
Mhm.
These giant companies are made up of so many different parts
Yeah.
for them to say, for Epic Games to say, well, we're not going to bring Fortnite to Stadia because of this lawsuit. I don't think that that's the case. Now, of course, Tim Sweeney has said the reason that Fortnite is not on Stadia is because it doesn't have a huge player base, and until it does, it doesn't make sense for them to port it. And I completely am fine with that. That's a reasonable thing to say. I do think eventually Fortnite will be on Stadia. Um, and I don't think that this lawsuit actually has any implications as far as that. This lawsuit has implications as far as, you know, how Google and how Apple control their marketplace. I think that these
Right.
lawsuits have far more to do with will Stadia get on Apple eventually than will Fortnite get on Stadia. Hopefully that
Yep.
makes sense. I kind of got windy there.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And like I said, if this lawsuit goes through and it hits the court and rules in favor of Epic, that is a huge shot over the bow of Apple and Google and any other phone manufacturer that might come up in the next 10 years saying, sure, you own the store. I believe that Apple has the right to make rules on their store, because if you don't like it, then don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also some other issues. It's just because you made the store doesn't mean that certain things are or should be allowed to happen. So hopefully all this gets sorted out, and it all happens quickly, and all the people that only play Fortnite on their phone are going to be able to go and play Fortnite again, because there's going to be a lot of sad people out there that can't actually play the game that they paid for or stuff that they paid for. But yeah, it's I don't know, this whole thing's going to be really interesting, and hopefully, like we said, at the very end of all this, Stadia, xCloud, Nvidia, all the other streaming services can be on iOS and have no issues there.
Yeah. Moving on to our next topic, it would be a very interesting tweet came from Rockstar Mag. Now, I don't know anything about that particular account or whatever, but they have it's not in English, so I had to use the Google Translate feature to figure out exactly what it is that they're saying. But there was something very, very interesting there. They say, and this is using Google Translate, so it could be real bad. But according to our information, in addition to the versions of on PS5 and Xbox Series X, Rockstar is reportedly in the process of preparing a Stadia version of GTA 5, whose announcement and release would be scheduled in the next few weeks/months before or at the same time on PS5 or Xbox Series X. So, look, I want to make sure that before everybody, automatically jumps to conclusions and says, Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming to Stadia. That is not what they said. They said that there is some information. It's a rumor. They're saying that
Yep.
they have heard a rumor. And we have heard many rumors that have never panned out. We've also heard rumors that have panned out really, really well. Now, Grand Theft Auto 5 is like the best selling game. Like, oh my God. It has spent, what year did it come out? Do you remember, Lloyd?
No, not at all. 2014, something like that.
It's been
It
around
was
for a while.
GTA 5 release date.
All right, he's looking it
Uh,
up. Since
I'm going
it
to do
came
that.
out, it has spent
2013.
2015. Okay, so 5 years. It
13.
has spent 5 years, I believe.
2013.
Oh, 13.
2013.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. So for the last 7 years, It has
Hmm.
basically been in the top 10 selling list on Amazon for video games.
Yep.
It's almost every single month. They're like, these are our top 10 selling games. Grand Theft Auto 5 is always there. It is an incredibly popular game. If you talk to
Hmm.
just about anybody, they will tell you that it's really, really good. I personally don't like Rockstar. Not Rockstar the company, although some of their business practices I'm not a fan of. But I don't like their games most of the time. I don't like the way that they control, so I just don't play them. I've never played Grand Theft Auto 5, but I've heard nothing but fantastic things about it. Um,
Hmm.
Grand Theft Auto 5 on Stadia would be really, really good, and we do have precedents. We have Red Dead Redemption 2 on Stadia. So, what do you think, Lloyd? What do you think the chances of GTA 5 coming to Stadia?
I don't know. I think it would totally make sense. I mean, GTA 5 launched on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. So it's already branched one generation to go from PS3, Xbox 360 to PS4 and Xbox One. Uh, they've come out and said that it is going to happen. It's going to come across on a PlayStation 5. And it's not GTA 5 itself because it's a 40-hour game when you play through the whole story. It's Grand Theft Online, which is a whole online world where people make money, buy things, do heists.
Wait, are those
The
two different
shark,
games though?
they're all part and parcels. So you buy
So you
one
get
and
all
you
of it.
get the other.
Oh, okay,
That's
I
right.
understand now.
But the longevity is because of Grand Theft Online. And the reason why it's up there for sales is because people buy these shark cards. So you can go and spend $40 and get $10 million, and you can buy a penthouse and a really fancy car and stuff like that. That's the reason why GTA has been around forever. Rockstar likes making free money because when you have GTA Online, you're not necessarily creating a bunch of new content. They do. There's new services, there's new adventures, there's new heists, there's new stuff that's thrown in. But mainly, it's like set it and forget it for Rockstar. And if they brought it to more platforms, that is more money that's going to come in from those platforms. So bringing it over to Stadia seems like a no-brainer. Always online, you can pick it up on your phone, pick it up on your computer, on your TV, wherever. You can see what's happening in your in the world that you live in. But the fact that it's coming from this Stadia, this Rockstar Mag, which is a fan site, I don't necessarily believe it,
Yeah.
but I do think it's very likely to happen.
Yeah, so you're saying I'm not believing the rumors, but you totally do think that it will happen. You just don't think that they necessarily
Yeah,
have the inside scoop on this.
totally. Like if Rockstar's taken the time to do a branch another generation to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, totally makes sense that they would devote a small development team to get it running on Stadia, and then perhaps other cloud services as well, because you're already spending the time to port it across another generation. You might as well get it running on some other things as well. So I don't know. It totally makes sense to me that it would come to Stadia at some point in the future.
Are you surprised that we don't have it already? I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 was pretty quick.
Yeah,
You would think that GTA 5 would have been sooner because it's such a moneymaker for them.
yeah. I think what happened was they spent all this time getting Red Dead 2 running on PC.
Oh,
So
okay.
it didn't run the console code was the console code, and then they're like, okay, we have to port this to PC. When they did that, I you would assume that they use Vulkan there, and then it was just an easy port to get it from PC to Stadia. Grand Theft Auto 5 has been on PC forever, so hopefully that is also another quick translation to go from just a standard PC version to a PC version that's running on Stadia.
All right, moving on. Actually, you know what? I want to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'm going to tell you how you can get your sound to sound just absolutely perfect using Stadia. So stick around, everybody. All right, so we are back, and listen, one of my biggest problems with Stadia has to do with the port on the bottom of this
Hmm.
controller here. All right, so you see that? The headphone jack. Um, I have used the party feature in Stadia, I don't know, like twice. And the first time I used it was just to test if it would work. And then I turned it back off because, I mean, let's be honest, most of the time we use Discord. Link in the description down below.
Hmm.
Um, but the second time I used it was because we were running a dungeon in Elder Scrolls Online, and I had left my phone upstairs, and I was downstairs in the living room, and I had my headphones, and I just plugged them into my controller, and we did a dungeon. And man, I could not hear anything. The
Yeah.
voice volume was way too low, and for for the an online focused system to have such a poor interface for talking to your friends when you're playing is just kind of a huge mistake. Well, guess what? Google has listened. Now, when you are playing, you have a little mixer, which should have been there from the absolute start. I don't understand why it wasn't. This should have been there from the start. But now
Yep.
you can individually control the master volume, the game volume, and the voice chat volume all on their own. And this is a screenshot that I took using the browser. You can also do this on Chromecast, except instead of master volume, it says Chromecast volume instead. So
Right.
I think that this is huge. Lloyd, does this make you more likely to use the party feature than you were before? Or are you going to basically stick to Discord all the time?
For the most part, when I'm playing multiplayer, I'm in this room, so Discord makes more sense. But this helps a lot. The one thing I want to test out is if if I'm playing a game and I have a headset in so I can hear people in voice chat, can I turn the game volume down in my headset and still have the game volume come out of the Chromecast? I don't believe so,
No.
because that is what you really need. Like in PlayStation or Xbox, that's what I do. The game volume or the game audio comes across the TV, and the voice chat volume comes into the headset, and that's really all I want to use the headset for, is that. So this is better, because yeah, I agree that either voice chat is too loud, too low, games too loud, too low. Having those little sliders is really great, but I really need an option where if I'm in voice chat, I only want the voice chat to come across the little jack in the front of my controller. I want everything else to come out of my TV or web browser or whatever else. So they got a little bit more work to do, but this is a great step in the right direction.
So, okay. I feel like I disagree with you there. Having it come out of your maybe I'm wrong, because again, we usually just use Discord. So I have a very little experience with voice chat on consoles.
Hmm.
Um, if the sound is coming out of the TV,
Hmm.
isn't that going to go into the mic, and then like aren't I going to hear, like if I'm playing with you and you're playing the game and you're shooting something or whatever, aren't I going to hear your TV come through your voice?
Well, not if Google does it the right way. I mean, Xbox and PlayStation have solved this a long time ago. They
Okay.
have noise cancellation, so any audio that is coming from the game gets zeroed out on the microphone that goes back in. So they use noise cancellation to get rid of that game audio. So um, there's no crazy, like, I don't know, echo or whatever. Depending on how people have their room set up, maybe that will be an issue. But
Okay.
I've never really had that issue before. So yeah, if they do it the right way, that shouldn't be an issue at all.
And like I said, I have very little experience doing this. I'm usually using Discord, so that's how I usually end up doing it. All
Yeah.
right, this stupid. Look at this. I was looking at the mouse on here, and I was like, "Why isn't it moving? Why isn't it moving?" It's because it's part of my screenshot. All right, we got an
Nice.
APK teardown, which these happen all of the time. 9 to 5 Google does these APK teardowns where there's a brand new version of the Stadia app on Android, and so they look through it and they find all of the stuff on here. Number one is that it looks like we're getting ready to be able to pre-order Stadia games. I'm not super excited for this as a feature. However, a lot of times, if you go to, like, I'll use, what's an upcoming game?
Marvel's Avengers.
Okay, so Marvel Avengers. So if I go to their website, there's a button to pre-order for Sony. There's a button to pre-order for Xbox. There's a button to pre-order for PC. There is not a button to pre-order for Stadia, and so it kind of gets ignored.
Yep.
Not being able to pre-order is bad for Stadia as a whole, because that means that third-party publishers are not pushing people towards Stadia. So I do think that this is good for the platform, but I don't really care, because I never really go to these third-party websites unless I'm doing a show. You know what I mean? I just,
Yep.
I don't bother. So there's that. Anything to talk about for pre-order before we move on?
Just that there's different consumers out there. Some people they save their money. They put $5 in a jar every week, and then when they have their $60, they go buy a card and they pre-order the game that they want, and that's kind of like a peace of mind to them. So while I generally don't pre-order stuff that way, there's a lot of people that do, and not having that option on Stadia is probably a little anxiety causing for them, because they like to tick things off their little checklist. Okay, saved my money, tick. Pre-ordered game, tick. And now they're ready to play it on release day. So having it there would be great. And then also, when you pre-order games, a lot of times you get pre-order bonuses. Like, you pre-order Marvel Avengers, you get into the beta. You can't do that on Stadia. You can do it on PlayStation or Xbox or PC, but you can't do it on Stadia. So it would just show a little bit more maturity to Stadia as a platform, having those pre-orders happen as well.
The other big part of this would be text messaging. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for, is the fact that when you're playing a game, there's no way to, outside of voice, there is no way to communicate. So if you're sitting in a room, like maybe you're sitting in a room and you've got your headphones plugged into the bottom of your Stadia controller, and you've got the sliders dialed in perfectly so you can hear what your friends are saying, or so that you can hear the game just perfectly. But you don't want to say anything out loud, because maybe your significant other is asleep on the couch, or maybe you've got a baby in a crib nearby and you're just sitting in the room with them playing a game, and you don't want to talk. You would want to be able to send a quick message, and you can't do that on Stadia. I mean, outside of games that do that for Stadia. So there's no way for you to send a message to somebody. Well, it looks like there is going to be a way to send a message to somebody. They have things like a status text shown alongside a failed outgoing message to let the user know it was not sent. So it's like, hey, look, they're building in this way to send messages. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing that I've done for most of the recent weeks. Is I'm going to complain that we have this awesome ability to hit the Stadia button on our controller and have the Google Assistant come up on the screen, and I can then say the thing that I want to say, and it comes up as text on the screen, and then it does a search. But I still would really, really like to be able to say words, have it turned into text, and then have that text inputted as a message in, we'll say, Elder Scrolls Online or another online game that I'm playing. Drives me crazy that we can't do that. I would also like to be able to open up the Stadia app on my phone and type on there and send a message that way through Stadia, so that if you're playing, like Lloyd's playing on, let's say, a Chromecast, my little message pops up on the screen for him that I just sent from my phone. I think that would be really, really amazing. Go ahead, Lloyd.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Having the Stadia app as a way to type things in just totally makes sense. When they added that to PlayStation 4 right when it launched, I'm like, oh, are people really going to use this? And then I found myself using it a lot. You could control games, you could do all the stuff. They had second picture support, where your screen is different than the screen that's going on. They could put up, I think it was Assassin's Creed had like different historical facts would come up on your phone while you're playing the game. that was about all it was used for, but it was really useful for typing messages in and things like that. The fact that you could hook up a keyboard to those devices as well was really great, so that if you did want to use the app, you could actually use an actual physical keyboard. That would be really nice if you could start doing that with Chromecast Ultra, with whatever the next generation Chromecast Ultra, having other USB ports, or the support for, I gotta find it. I don't have it handy. I have a little Bluetooth keyboard that I use with my Raspberry Pi. It'd be nice connecting that directly to my Chromecast, so I could use that to type things in as well.
Yeah. The other thing that's found in this APK Teardown is online statuses that you're going to be able to select. This is really cool. So you can do these statuses like looking for party or streaming, which I think is really cool. You could say, all right, I'm streaming this game. So I could open up, look at my friends list. I can see that that Lloyd is streaming a game. Although I guess I would probably already know about that. But I could see that somebody on my friends list is streaming a game. And what would be really cool is if I could, like, they didn't say anything about this, but I could go down to that person, hit a button, and bring up their stream right on my TV. Yeah. That would be absolutely amazing. This is the kind of thing where when you have the streaming platform and the gaming platform owned by the same company, you can really make things what's the word, frictionless, I guess is what I would say. I think that that's really cool. What do you think, Lloyd?
Yeah, can you imagine doing that picture in picture, even having that overlay on top of the gameplay? Like that would be fantastic. I would love that. All things that may come in the future as Stadia kind of keeps adding features and making their platform more robust. But yeah, being able to watch someone stream the trial that we're doing in ESO while you're playing ESO, you can laugh at all the craziness that's happening while still doing quests yourself. That would be really awesome.
I would absolutely love to see streaming built into basically Stream Connect, like we have in Destiny 2, not Destiny 2, Division 2, and Ghost Recon Breakpoint, where if Lloyd and I are playing in a game together, basically it takes his screen and puts it on my screen. I would love to be able to watch other people's like my friend list stream while I'm playing a game. Even if I'm playing a different game, it would be really cool. Oh, look at that. Kodiak Moonwolf is he's doing a dungeon in Elder Scrolls Online. Great. I'm going to watch him do that while I'm playing, I don't know, Division 2 or something like that, just on a little window down on the bottom. That's the kind of thing that you can do when you have both of those platforms. And I'm going to use this as a chance to pivot to something that is driving me absolutely crazy. This tweet that was posted by YouTube Gaming is like it infuriated me. Why can they not get this right? So yesterday, no, 3 days ago, recently, I don't know, it happened. Back on the 13th, YouTube Gaming sent out this tweet. They said, "Which one do you choose for crossplay?" And they included a DualShock 4, an Xbox One controller, Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, and a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
No Stadia controller. And of course, I replied right afterwards. I was like, seriously, it's your own gaming platform. Why would you not mention it? This is... Why can't they get this, Lloyd? What are they doing wrong?
It's like left hand, right hand. It's not that they don't know what each other is doing. It's that they've been severed from each other and they've been shipped in secret crates to different parts of the world. So there's no way they can know what each other's doing. It's so ridiculous. Like YouTube Gaming should be talking about Stadia, not all the time, because people are going to say stop like pumping your own tires, but at least have it as an option. Yeah, I don't know. I saw this and I shook my head, and then I continued on with my day. But it really grinds your gears. You do the voice for that, so I am not even going to try it. But yeah, like put Stadia up there, YouTube. Like, what are you doing? It just, I don't know, man.
It seems crazy. Yeah. And of course, people were like, well, maybe they thought that that mouse and keyboard represented Stadia. It doesn't.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
but it doesn't. I mean, you can use mouse and keyboard for it, but it doesn't represent Stadia. this thing
Yep.
represents Stadia. I
That's
just
right.
don't understand why they can't get the marketing right. It's like, I don't know. It's just, it drives me crazy because like there's all of this misinformation out there that Stadia, like people don't understand that you don't have to buy anything to play Stadia.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
still think that you have to go out and buy a Premier Edition. They think that you have to have a subscription. Their messaging, just they're not talking about this stuff enough. The Stadia Twitter account is tweeting about games, which is great, but they also need to say, play this right now, buy this game right now without a subscription. No subscription needed.
Yep.
Like that kind of thing is really really great. Talk about that. And then when YouTube Gaming is tweeting out something like this, at least include the Stadia controller, which I have to
Yeah.
say is kind of becoming my favorite controller. The more I use it, the less that I
Yeah.
like using the other controllers that I have. And I know
Yeah.
I do a show about Stadia, but guess what? I also do a show about Nintendo. And
Yep.
I loved the Nintendo Pro controller for a really long time, but my OG favorite controller is the Steam controller. But the
You.
more I use this, the more I think this is the one that I like the best. This is the one that's the most comfortable.
I threw out the you out there because that's what everybody listening is probably thinking about the Steam controller. But I get it. You like it. My favorite controller is the Pro controller, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. But the Stadia controller is a close second. It used to be for me, my favorite controller is PlayStation 4. And then the Pro controller came out, and I'm like, oh my god, the Pro controller feels so much better. But now the Stadia controller really feels so much better in my hands. And now that it's not going to disconnect on me all the time because I got better Wi-Fi, I'm going to be playing a heck of a lot more games like this. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Let's see. I was not ready to move on because okay, here we go. Superhot. I'm
Yes.
very excited for Superhot. It's on its way. You
Yep.
want to tell people what the release date is?
Yeah, so a Superhot Mind Control Delete is coming to Stadia on August 18th, which, if I look at my watch, is in 2 days, Tuesday. So that'll be great. If you bought Superhot on Stadia, you get it for free. If you claimed Superhot for free as a pro game, you do not get it for free, or at least that's not how it's been on every other platform that this version came out. So if you want to play this one, what you can do right now is go buy Superhot, the regular version, and then you'll get this version for free.
How
But
much
yeah,
is Superhot on the store? Do you know?
I don't know. Let me double check. I don't think I can see because I own it. It's in my library, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Um,
Maybe somebody. Well, I bet you everybody in chat's probably. Okay, so Gem in chat is saying $20 on Steam or 20
mm,
pounds on Steam. So I'm going to guess 25.
yeah,
I'm not sure.
that sounds about right, I think. But yeah, Superhot is a fantastic game, and be able to get the new one, which apparently everybody that's played it says it's bigger, it's larger, it's better. I'm super excited to be able to play that on Google Stadia.
Yeah, that comes out on the 18th. When does the golf game come out? I'm super excited for the golf game.
Yeah, I don't know the release date off the
I
top
think
of my
it's
head.
the
Sorry.
21st. And so I think I may pass on buying Superhot Mind Control Delete and just hold out for the 21st cuz that golf game, I think that people are going to have an incredible time with that, and that's more of a multiplayer thing. So
Sure.
I think that's the one that I would prefer in my and I can't afford to buy both, right? There's a finite amount of money that people can spend on video games. I'm probably not going to buy both, even though I played Superhot and I played it recently and I absolutely adored it. Played it start to finish. Fantastic game. I highly recommend it to anybody out there who has not yet played it. It is the most innovative shooter that I have played in years. Just so fantastic. But I just played it. So I'm not feeling like I need to run back to it yet. That being said, yeah, the golf game is the one that I'm mostly excited for, and chat is telling us yes, it's the 21st. So there you go.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is a good thing for Stadia. Unfortunately, it wasn't day and date because this dropped on all the other platforms a while ago. So having to wait a month, less than a month, to come to Stadia is a little bit sad. But at least we're getting it, and it's going to be good for people because apparently it, as much of a mind melt the first one is, this one apparently is even more mind melty. So I'm excited to play it. But yeah, I'm also excited for the golf game.
All right, let's move on to the end of the show, which is where we talk about what you guys ask us to talk about. Throughout the show, people have been sending in super chats, and so we talk about the things that you guys want or trying to get us our attention on. Usually, I can bring these up on screen, but it looks like for some reason I'm not able to right now. It's like it's not showing up on my Stream Elements thing. So we'll just leave it like this. Sukotronic sent in a super chat like they always do every single time. Thank you very much for the support. Bad Mojo sent in a $10 super chat towards the Lloyd's Camera Fund, which is really awesome. So thank you very much hilarious. For that.
Thanks, Mojo.
But Mojo, by the way, and I and Kodiak Moonwolf and Dudicious, we did a fantastic dungeon. It was incredibly mechanics heavy in Elder Scrolls yesterday after the trial, and it was insane and awesome. And now we can all turn into giant werewolves. It's really cool. So thanks, Mojo. Michael Perkins sent in a super chat. They said it's Consino. They said just love the show. So thank you very much for that.
Nice.
We also went out on Twitter, and I found some things that people had sent in for us to talk about. So number one comes to us from It's Bobby G. And Bobby G says, any updates on when mod support will be added? Something like a mod hub in Farming Sim should be supported, right? Well, back when I interviewed John Justice, I asked about mods. He said, yeah, we're gonna make sure that you are able to use mods. Now, that doesn't mean that every game that has mods on other platforms is going to put in the work to have mods work on Stadia, but Stadia does support mods. So we just have to wait for a game that has mod support to support mods on Stadia. And I would very much like mods to happen on Stadia. We talk about Elder Scrolls Online a lot. And there's crossplay, right? And so we're always in a group, and people are like, oh, well, like yesterday during the trial, somebody was like, well, somebody's cute as a tank. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter because we all know who the tanks are. And they're like, yeah, but their name isn't the right color. And I was like, what are you talking about? All the names are red. And they're like, well, I've got this mod. And I was like, oh, okay, because they were playing on PC. So mod support. What do you think, Lloyd?
Yeah, mod support is up to the developers. It's not up to Stadia. I mean, it's up to Stadia to say yes, it's okay. But the way mods work, say, if you look at Fallout 4 or if you look at Skyrim on PlayStation, for example, you have a mod store, which is just a little web view of supported mods, approved mods. They have to be approved by both the platform holder in PlayStation's case and the game holder, the game manufacturer. But you choose, like, I want better visuals in Skyrim. You download this little mod pack, and then it gets downloaded to your PlayStation, and then you activate it in the game, and it happens that way. But 99% of the work is on the game developers. So if ESO if Elder Scrolls Online wanted mods, or people want mods, it's up to ZeniMax to put those into the game. They have to develop a mod store, develop the ability to download them on Stadia, download them on Stadia in air quotes, because obviously you're not downloading anything, but for those things just to be activated from a menu. So it is definitely possible, and I would assume that if Skyrim comes to Stadia at some point in the future, because of course it's going to come to Stadia at some point in the future, it runs on everything, there'll be mods built into it right from the get-go, because they already have that on all the other platforms that aren't PC.
Yeah. Gem in chat is asking an interesting question. They said, does Crate count? You can create script packages and share them with the community, and then players can download your script packages for their games. I mean, technically that's mods, but I mean the whole game. That's the whole game, right? So does
Yeah,
that count for mods or no?
I don't know, like, what is a mod really? Like in Kratos a case, it's not really a mod because you're not downloading something to change an executable that was made and baked, and here's your game, and then adding mods to change that. But yeah, I mean, essentially that's what it would be. For it to work on Stadia, you just have to have a game manufacturer have all these mods curated and able to be downloaded or activated from in the game to then have them out there. Like say for Skyrim, for example, on PlayStation, if you enable a mod, you can't get trophies on that profile anymore. So there's a bunch of stuff that all comes into play there. Otherwise, you would have a mod where you enable it and it pops all the trophies. So stuff like that is part of the process, and I'm sure Google Stadia could get that running no problem with a set of rules, and then you just need a bunch of developers to get all this stuff set up properly.
Yep, and then Epic Games would sue them for the rules. Moving on, Anthony Talcott sent in a question. They said, question for the podcast. With Microsoft's letter calling out Apple, I've seen tons of support from iOS users. I've even seen Stadia fans and content creators also calling out Apple. However, Google has been quiet. Do you think they should take a similar stance as Microsoft? Well, we kind of talked about this already, but we'll reiterate our feelings real quick. What do you think, Lloyd? Should Google make a big stink about not being allowed on the Apple App Store?
Yes, but they also have their own app store that has their own problems. So
Yeah.
I think it's very political for Google to kind of throw their hat into this. I really do hope that on top of this epic lawsuit that's against both Google and Apple, that there's another lawsuit shortly after or in addition to that is from all the streaming companies that say, yeah, we want access to your app store as well. You're blocking us unfairly. You're letting in streaming video. There's no reason why we shouldn't be there as well. But that's going to be super awkward for Google to be involved with now that they're being sued by Epic for the same sort of thing. So yeah, man, law is hard. That's why you have to go to school for a very long time to be a good lawyer.
That's true. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you everybody for being here for the live show. We had a whole bunch of people here. Thank you to everybody who did the super chats. You guys are fantastic. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, basically it is a retweeter that retweets things that are Stadia related that Lloyd and I tweet about. So you can follow that on StadiaCast. You can follow me at Run Jump Stomp. You can follow Lloyd at Dasme, and be sure to head on over to Twitter and follow us for that stuff. You can also join our Discord. We've got a whole bunch of people. There's a link in the description down below. If you're listening to the show, then you can just go to runjumpstomp.com. There's a link that will take you to the Discord. And if you're already joining Discords, Lloyd has a Discord, which you can find at rezd.tv/Discord. That's rezd.tv/Discord. The music that you're going to hear in just a second is Subterranean Kamikaze by Zircon. Make sure you check out their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. Lloyd, it's been fun, man.
Yeah, take it easy, everybody. Thanks, Bill, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye. All right, there we go. We did it. We made a thing.
We did it. We did it.
All
I
right.
did it.
Save
Woohoo.
project.
Okie dokie. That was good. Yeah, man, this whole lawsuit thing could be very interesting. I'm so eager just to watch the whole thing take place. I can't wait. Because it's gonna make for some really fun and engaging conversation, I think, across all the different podcasts and websites out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
Cloud Gamer, did you guys notice my name changed? Cloud Gamer 201. No,
He used to be Stadia Gamer 201.
That's right.
Or she, I don't know. I'm not prejudging your gender. I'm sorry.
They.
That's right.
They. Awesome. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, my browser just
to see if there's anything
froze. My browser. Okay, there it is. I was just looking for the same thing and my browser froze for a second. Do you ever get that where Chrome just becomes unresponsive?
I actually stopped using Chrome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been using the new Microsoft Edge, which is it's still Chromium, but it works really, really well, and I am very impressed with it. I wanted to use Firefox, but Firefox does not have the profiles. Like, I guess they have profiles, but basically, the way that I use my browser is that I will, like, I click on my little picture up in the top right or whatever, right? And when I click that, it takes me to a whole bunch of different profiles. So I have a profile there for work. I have a profile there for, just regular old Bill. And then I have a profile for Run, Jump, Stomp. I have a profile for 143 Pixels. I have a profile for Stadia Cast. And I have different bookmarks and links that I get to and login information that I get to based on those profiles. But with Firefox, it just never worked the way that I wanted it to work. But the new Microsoft Edge is really good, and from what I have been told, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about this, but from what I've been told, the like Stadia works better on the new Microsoft Edge than it does in Chrome, which is ridiculous. But I don't know, maybe that's because Chrome is just too bloated.
So what you're saying is all it took for Microsoft to make a good web browser was for them to stop making their own web browser.
Yes, basically.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have it installed, obviously, because I think it was pushed down to everybody that's running Windows 10. I just haven't used it. I'll have to look into it.
So here's the thing. I think that you had to install it yourself because there is an Edge, but then there's an Edge that's based on Chromium. So you have to make sure that you're using the Edge that's based on Chromium. The best way to test it is, does it run Stadia? If it runs Stadia, then you're using the Chromium one, I think.
It also has the icon that is like the little swirl instead of the big E, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was downloaded by automatic. It was automatically downloaded for me. I'm looking at it. Do you want to set Microsoft Edge as your default browser? Hell no. But thank you for asking. It actually looks and it performs. It's really, really quick. I might have to check this out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. I have absolutely zero complaints. And it uses extensions from, you can use Chrome extensions. So I was able to get 1Password working on there, and uBlock Origin, and the highlighter thing that I use that sometimes highlights text that I, like if I'm looking at a giant long document, I'll have highlighted the certain things so that when I'm showing it to people, via OBS, I can easily scroll through and be like, oh yeah, here's that thing that I wanted to talk about. It's just, I can't imagine anybody using that other than a podcaster, but whatever, who knows?
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check it out then for Stadia, because I know that if I'm trying to use OBS to capture Stadia gameplay in a web browser, I get like, it's almost framey in OBS where it shouldn't, because I have ample GPU and CPU room. So I'm not sure what is causing that slowdown. So maybe I'll check it out with Edge and see, maybe it performs a little better that way.
Yeah, if I'm using, I mean, sometimes I'll play in the browser, very, very seldom. But if I'm streaming or making content or something, it's always the Chromecast for me, because it is better. It is a better experience to use the Chromecast than it is to use the browser. But at the same time, you don't have access to the keyboard. So like when I'm playing Elder Scrolls Online, the other day I was in a dungeon, and this guy was trying to tell me what to do. Like, hey, for this boss, this is the mechanic. And and he's like, are you ready? And I was like, okay, now I have to use the ready check thing instead. So then I had to bring up the keyboard and be like, yes, I'm ready. Blah, you know, it was just kind of a pain. Or like when he had explained something, I was like, oh, that was really cool that the guy was nice enough to explain it. So I brought up the thing and I was like, hey, thanks for explaining it. And it took forever because I didn't have access to the keyboard. So again, Google voice typing. Make it happen. Make it
Yeah,
happen.
it should be there for sure.
All right.
Awesome.
Anything else before we get out of here, Lloyd?
I don't think so, man. I was looking through all the other notes, see if there anything else popped up in my little brain, and nothing. So I'm gonna head out and go grocery shopping with the wife.
All
I
right.
think is what my next steps are.
There you go. Bye, everybody. Thanks again for hanging out with us. You guys are awesome. And if you want to continue your conversation, there's a link to the description, or there's a link to our Discord in the description down below. There's a channel in there called Stadia Cast. Get in there, talk about stuff. We'll see you around. Bye, everyone.
Later, everybody.